All right, so in the first tutorial, I went through and I took a block and I loaded that block. Well, I took the old block, I UV unwrapped it, I exported it out. Now I've opened up another program called ZBrush. So ZBrush is a digital sculpting software. So I'm going to go ahead and hit semicolon to get rid of this little bar here. Oh, it's comma. There we go. Sorry, it's the comma gets rid of that bar. So a lot of tutorials for ZBrush are going to go through and set up their specific setup for you. I'm just going to work with the default settings inside here, and I'm going to show you very basic functionality here. All right, you have a tool menu, and you can come over and import. So let's go find where our block is. And now I have my block, it's a tool. I'm just going to click and drag, and that makes the block out here. Once I've placed it in there, I clicked and dragged to place. I now go into edit. If I click in the window, I can orbit around. So ZBrush allows us to sculpt on top of this. Like I can come in with my brush, which is currently the standard brush, and start pulling these points around. Now the great thing about ZBrush is you can subdivide your models. So I'm going to go here to geometry, and I'm going to divide it. You can see how it starts to smooth out. I'm going to do this 4 times just to start. And I'm going to come to brush, and I'm going to pull over trim dynamic. So now, using my stylus, I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to use the trim dynamic. I'm just going to make the size larger. Shortcut keys for making it larger, the same as Photoshop. All right, and you can see how I could go through and start making little details, or in this case, big details, kind of chunking, chiseling it out. So I'm gonna divide it more. All right. So now I can come back in with trim dynamic. You can see how I'm gonna take this block and just kind of real quick go over it with this trim dynamic brush. All right, and I'm just kind of dragging it, and you can see how it's sort of getting that sort of ZBrush video game block look that everybody knows and loves. Okay. I'll tell you one bit of advice when you're first learning ZBrush: be prepared to close the program and start over. It can be a little frustrating getting started, but it is a great tool that is amazing, and it is powerful, and there's so many wonderful things you can do with it. But it does work radically different from 3ds Max. All right, so don't let it intimidate you. All right, so I'm kind of coming around here, just sort of chiseling all my edges, even the base. I'm going to chisel that a bit, kind of coming around. I'm holding Alt and dragging. You have tools over here that'll help you move around as well. All right, so a lot of times, just because I've been doing this for a long time, I will make my base meshes inside of 3ds Max and then bring them into ZBrush, and then just kind of do whatever magic I need to do inside of ZBrush inside there. All right, so see, there you go. I kind of took this and blacked it up. Now I can come in. There's a lot more I could do. I can make my brush smaller. I could spend a lot more time going through. There's even another brush. Let's go over here under layers. I'm going to add a new layer. And under brushes, I'm going to change to the Dam Standard brush. All right, so Dam Standard allows me to go, bark. Now I just made a giant gash in the side. And now if I go back to my brushes, I'm going to hit B and P because I want to find the pinch. I'm going to pinch this back together. So it's going to kind of turn it into more of like a, ooh, look at that. He's got a chiseled little crack in him. All right. So brush, D, going, nope. I actually want to go back to brushes, and I want T for trim, and D for trim dynamic. There we go. And I'll just kind of chisel out around that. Alright, from there, there's lots of other fun stuff I could do with this. If I want to do brush, standard, I'm going to hit T because I want to have the standard brush. I'm going to turn it to sub. Turn this down a little bit. I'll put a couple little, let's go up to geometry. Let's divide it a little bit more. Okay. Okay. Alright. Go back to layers. I'm going to turn off layers. Alright. There we go. Divide it again. Mesh has deformable shape layers. Turn off add ZDraw. Alright, so we'll just go back here to the layers. You know, I'm just going to remove these. Delete. And delete. Because those are kind of lame anyways. There we go. A couple little holes in here, and that'll all depend kind of on how much right now I'm doing exactly what you should never do in ZBrush, which is just kind of try to whip something up like you think it should look. Right? So I'm drawing on my vast experience looking at pictures of what video game art looks like, right? Which is never good. Really, you should find reference and work from that. But this is just a demo to kind of give you a brief introduction to it. So, all right, I have this. I can do brush, trim, dynamic, and I could go back in again now, and I can kind of carve around those a little bit again. There we go. Trim dynamic on these guys. There we go. Make them a lot less perfect. All right, just to give it a little bit more character inside there. And really the best result in ZBrush, as with anything, is going to be if you have reference for something and you're working off of that. That's what's going to end up looking the best. All right. Now right here, I'm doing a lot of crazy organic work. All right, just trying to make a block. Go. I'll do a separate tutorial kind of talking about how you can take this technology and kind of move it to a place where you're making something that's a bit more specific and custom, right? Or dropping in details on things. There we go. Just gonna trim down where some of these guys are, or crank it up and really go at them. There we go. Okay. There we go. Work some of these holes in this guy. One thing you could do is you could find brushes that people make online. You can make your own custom brushes. I'll point you to some resources for that as well. I'm really just dragging this trim dynamic over these little holes I knocked in there. Giving this thing a little Swiss cheese. Oh man, this thing looks goofy. There we go. Make that a lot bigger. Go back in. There we go. Oh yeah. It's a good looking rock. Alright, let's be honest, it's an okay looking rock, but you're getting the point. Okay, so. Oof. Fix that guy. Okay. Frame it. Zoom out. Oh my word, there's a whole nother side. Alright, let's get this guy real quick. And chisel that away. And chisel this away. Alright. Zoom. Alright, here we go. So, if I wanted to save this, I would save it up in the tool menu over here. But what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to take this and reduce the number of subdivisions down to like 2. Maybe I'll put it at 3. Alright, it's got a little bit of its shape still. let's put it all the way back up at the top, and we'll do save, and we're just going to save that in the same folder as block LP. All right, there we go, we saved it. And now we're going to export it. So we already have a low poly exported, but if I took this down to 2 and did an export, let's see how that goes. Actually, I'm just going to put it all the way at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to export this block out. And then I'm going to import my low poly and this model into Substance Painter. So I'm going to stop the tutorial here and then pick it up in a third tutorial moving into Substance Painter. But all we're going to do is just say export, give it another name, HP, and do save. And so it's going to merge the UV coordinates, and once it finishes that process, then it's going to go through and it's going to start to export it out. See, it's in the process of writing the object in the moment. Seems like it's not going to crash on me, so I think that's a really good feeling. All right, so there we go. We've taken it out of, we brought our block in, we carved it up, and I'm going to stop the tutorial here and do a third one about bringing this into Substance Painter.